look, this is the biggest news in college football in a while. And we all knew this day was coming. I mean, Nick Saban's he's no spring chicken. And a lot of speculation going around about the reason why he retired. There's some, he's lost control because of the transfer portal and all that kind of thing. And I even saw some reports that maybe his wife was ill, which I hope is not true. But nonetheless, he's out. And that fills a giant void in the space of college football in the coaching world, because Alabama is a destination job thanks to Nick Saban. It was not a destination job before he got there. But the question is, who's going to replace him, right? Where does Alabama go from here? And there's a handful of names that everybody is going to say. Obviously, Dan Lanning. People have been talking about Dan Lanning to Alabama for the past, ever since he went to Oregon. You have the obvious things, former coordinators for Nick Saban, Lane Kiffin, Steve Sarkisian, and of course, the name that I've been hearing ever since I've been on YouTube, even before that. I came on YouTube in 2017, I think. Yeah, 2017. But ever since 2015, 2016, and it's funny too, because if you go back to that time, which you can't go back to that time unless you have a friggin' time machine, which nobody has. But if you were on the internet at that time, when Dabo Swinney was sort of starting to peak as a head coach in college football, of course, he's an Alabama alum, an Alabama man, as they say. Every Alabama fan from here to the end of the flat earth was saying, well, it's just a matter of time, Pete. Dabo Swinney's going to replace Nick Saban. Just get over it. Go ahead and start mourning now. And I got to say, even my first probably 2 years on YouTube, if you go back and watch my old videos, please don't do that. They're terrible. But if you did, you would see me saying that I think there is 0 chance, 0.0 chance that Dabo Swinney leaves Clemson to go take the Alabama job, at least to replace Nick Saban. My opinion on that, if you've been watching me for the past 2 or 3 years, has completely changed on that. And the reason being is because of what Dabo Swinney has said. I said, I don't think he'll be the guy that replaces the guy. Originally. I said, I could see Dabo Swinney coaching at Clemson for a long time because, let's face it, he is not Nick Saban. I'm not claiming that. But he is the Nick Saban of Clemson. In other words, there is 0 chance that Dabo Swinney gets fired. He would have to be like a barely bowl-eligible team for multiple years in a row to get fired from Clemson. Right? He's got complete control of that program, for better or for worse. It just is what it is. So I said there's no way he would replace Nick Saban at Alabama. But some of the things that Dabo Swinney has said over the past 2 or 3 years leads me to believe differently, that he would leave. Fighting with the fans. The whole, if you don't like what I'm doing here, I'll go somewhere else. I mean, he's been dropping the crumbs like Hansel and Gretel about leaving Clemson for several years now. So I've changed my tune on that. I would not be surprised at all, actually, if Dabo Swinney did take the job at Alabama. Now, that's if they offered it to him, and that's a discussion I want to have tonight. Again, there's a lot of reports. On3, I think, is reporting that Lanning is the guy. He's already been hired. They're going to announce it tomorrow. That would be my first choice. If I had to guess, which is what it is, a guess. If I had to guess who they're going to hire, I would say Dan Lanning. I think a very close second would be Steve Sarkisian. The Lane Kiffin thing is interesting, but I also think that Dabo Swinney is at least getting some interest. He's definitely in the conversation. Another thing is that I was of course I've been on the internet ever since this news broke, like the rest of you, and I was watching the Rob and Kale show. Shout out to Jackpot and Rob. I was watching that and watching the chat, and the amount of people that think that Clemson would love to get rid of, or Clemson fans, not Clemson themselves, but Clemson fans would love to get rid of Dabo Swinney. I don't know any that would love to get rid of Dabo Swinney. Here's the reality. If they offered a job to Dabo and Dabo took the job, Clemson would take a huge step back for the short, at least for the short term. Let's imagine for a second that Dabo took the job at Alabama, and that they made a home run hire. Whoever that is, I don't know who it would be, but we're playing fantasy right now. They made some sort of home run hire. It wouldn't matter. First of all, Dabo Swinney, if he left to go somewhere else, would take virtually his entire coaching staff with him, and probably some players too. So even if it was the best hire in the history of hires, it would take some time for them to pick the pieces up. So this Clemson fan does not want to see Dabo Swinney leave to go to Alabama. Not now. Now, I can't speak for the entire Clemson fan base. I don't represent them. I represent me. But I'm just telling you, it would not be good, at least in the short term, if Dabo Swinney left Clemson to take the Alabama job.